Hey there everyone and welcome to another video. This one is on God of War, and I've already brought out one God of War video which was showing a boss fight at the beginning. This video is going to show some of me early on in the game. This first clip is me trying to do this battle. I had to perfect. I played this battle for like so long. This wasn't even like one of the trickiest battles. So I played the game on like the hardest difficulty, and it's a bit ridiculous. If you're a veteran in the game, like it's very much built for people who've already completed the game and they're doing it again on a really hard difficulty. At the beginning you just don't have the tools to really build your character to do well. But you can see I'm like perfectly blocking everything, chaining together stuff. I'm doing a lot of axe throwing. That's something which I brought into my game a lot at the beginning, as I was being too cautious. Later on, I got more stuff to kind of stagger enemies and things, and then I got stuck in a bit more. So at times when I definitely could have gone in and engaged, I was doing this axe throwing. But yeah, you saw the enemy there. That was it leveling up. So on the hardest difficulty, one thing which can happen is generally after you damage the enemies a bit, they then level up, which heals them, gives them higher stats, so they deal more damage, they have more health, but also they become basically impossible to stagger. And staggering enemies is like a really big deal in this game because it allows you to chain together attacks. If they don't stagger, then you can only hit them a little bit before they're going to hit you, and on the hardest difficulty you take loads of damage. God of War's a really old series. It's had loads of games to it, and the recent one, this one that came out in 2018, went mainstream and got a lot of appeal. It's a really good game. It's definitely worthy of going mainstream, but the older games, the hardest difficulty was always meant to be like stupidly hard, and they didn't hold back in this game, and I think it kind of it didn't do so well because it went mainstream, that people kind of expected, well, this is a mainstream game, the hardest difficulty, it's possible. It's not. It's for really, really serious gamers, and it pushed me almost beyond my limit. I had to go for like 2 hours to do some battles that were meant to take, just a couple of minutes. But yeah, as you can see, I've been clearing out this pretty well. I haven't taken any damage yet, and I've been able to kind of chain stuff together. Missed that stun there, unfortunately. It's against these two guys that I go a bit too cautious with all the axe throwing. But you can see with the purple health that they've got, that means they're actually a higher level. Also their eyes are kind of glowing, which I think happens when they've leveled up. So these guys don't really... actually, they're staggering pretty nicely. Also, one thing you may notice with my throwing is sometimes it's glowing. What's happening is if I get a headshot and then I recall the axe at the perfect time, then it does extra damage on the next attack. So that's what I'm trying to do. Unfortunately I got hit there, and also didn't realise it hadn't returned my axe to me. But anyway, yeah, so this clip was early on in the game. The other clip that we're going to look at in a little bit, after I've taken out these enemies, is doing the first Valkyrie fight. So if you know anything about God of War, like the recent game, you'll know that the Valkyries were like the big bosses of the game. They're all side bosses, all optional bosses, and each one of them has its own kind of gimmick to the moveset. They've all got a very similar moveset, and then they've got certain extra moves, which makes them unique. And ultimately what it does is it all trains you for the Valkyrie Queen. So after you've done all the Valkyries, then you face the Valkyrie Queen, which has all of the moves of all of them. So yeah, Valkyrie Queen will be the next video, showing me face that in the first playthrough, and then New Game Plus as well. And that will be me far more experienced and doing really hard combat. This was me early on, trying to figure it all out. So this is against the Valkyrie, as you can see. Starts off, it's going to be a bit crazy here at the beginning. I use all my abilities to try and do as much damage as possible right at the beginning, and I can like stun her pretty much. She did get an attack off there, which I had to parry. So I'm going to talk about the moves generally and what she's doing. My wave actually staggered her. These attacks you have to kind of block, and then when it goes yellow, that's a block, an attack you can't block, so you have to parry it, which basically just means a timed block. And so again here, this is like a timed block, then you can counter attack. And the way it's done is, you can get a few hits in and then she does the next move. That, I failed to do the time block. Look how much damage it did to me. It was like 3/4 of my health. Yeah, that's what this is like. You can't really get hit much at all when you're on the hardest difficulty. So, whilst I was playing a bit, like I mentioned, one of the things I love about the combat in this God of War was that the block is almost instant, if not instant. So no matter what action you're doing, well, there are a few actions you take where you can't block, but for the most of them you can block and it will instantly block. So it's really about reaction times rather than like trying to space out and, you know, perfectly time everything. It's a case of, can you react to what the enemy is doing and trying to be as aggressive as possible at the other times, which is one of those things that plays into my strength a bit, I think. I'm quite good as a reactionary gamer. Most of you will know me from my Near Monsters stuff, which is a very different kind of game. It's a strategy game, but I love these action RPGs and trying to have intense combat with reactionary stuff. I do enjoy the other bits in it, but what plays to my strength is definitely, can you react fast enough and adapt to things and be aggressive. That's my kind of play style. So you probably learnt the moves here. There's one there though that is very nasty. That red means that you can't block or parry it, you have to dodge it. And this was the first Valkyrie, so it's pretty simple with stuff. It telegraphs most of the moves, but the Valkyrie Queen has that sort of red little jab after a few awkward bits. But yeah, you can see it there, it came out after those two wing attacks. So yeah, this kind of gives you an example of God of War, what it's like, and how difficult it can be. The Valkyries are definitely the hardest bit of the game, so, you know, don't let this put you off too much. And it's not just a case of learn the moveset and dodge all attacks. That's obviously just how it goes with the tough bosses. But yeah, that's going to be it from me in this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in that Valkyrie Queen video pretty soon.
You have freed me from my corrupted form. You have my eternal gratitude.